stay with that story then, as you've just heard from our conversation with Siphamandla. The ANC in Limpopo has its provincial conference and the results are in. Let's get you some reaction then with political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou, who joins us now from Pretoria. Not many surprises, Dr. Ndou, except of course the removal, if we can call it that, or the non-preference, perhaps, by delegates of the man who was serving as provincial secretary in his position, coming in, Ruben Madaje. What do you make of, firstly, the way that the conference has been handled? Siphamandla reporting that it's one of the smoothest ANC conferences he has covered in his career as a journalist. That will please, the top brass at Luthuli House, given how other conferences have gone.
Well, Thulasizwe, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Limpopo has performed according to the expectations. And I think we could also derive this from what maybe Limpopo might have observed from other provinces. And I think if other provinces are still have to follow, they now have to learn from Limpopo. What happened in the Eastern Cape, in Ekurhuleni, and some other provinces might have given an opportunity for Limpopo to say, we have the potential to do things better. Even though you have got the secretary who has not made it, I think some credit should also be given to the outgoing secretary, because he is responsible for running the organization on a day-to-day basis and making also sure that this conference has to run smoothly like it is doing. Of course, with the results, one cannot be surprised. In the ANC, they have developed the slate politics. So it depends on which slate are you actually falling. And of course, the winning slate had to make it. You would agree with me, Thulasizwe, that slates would have got a potential to create a situation in the party that has the us and them syndrome. And of course, because Soviet Lekhanyan was not on the favorable slate, he actually has to fall. But this is what most of us expected, that when you have a conference where there is peace and harmony, you'd actually have things running smoothly like Limpopo has actually done. And I think Limpopo has set a very good example for other provinces as well.
So two other areas that I'd like to tease out, Dr. Ndou. Let's start with the personality of the chairperson of the ANC in Limpopo, Stan Matabata. He gets a third term, despite the fact that, there was a bit of skepticism in some quarters. Some people saying that, it's not ideal that you should go for a third term as provincial chairperson, even though there's no bar in as far as the leadership terms of the ANC are concerned. I remember hearing a conversation elsewhere that was drawing parallels with what happened in Polokwane with the then ANC president Thabo Mbeki attempting to stand for a third term. But nevertheless, here we are. Stan Matabata gets a third term. What are we to make of his influence, his grip on structures and power in the ANC in Limpopo, but also his prospects going forward, because increasingly we are hearing this conversation about him needing to perhaps ascend to the national stage in as far as leadership of the ANC is concerned?
Most people say that it is better to vacate office when people still love you, so that you don't have to end up being pushed out of your office. Stan Matabata has a very good history as an administrator and as a leader of government. Before he joined government, Stan Matabata was running a Limpopo Development Corporation, and he was doing an excellent job. And when he came into the provincial government, you had a number of state departments that were put under administration because of poor performance. And when Stan Matabata came in, most of the things started to change. In his political report yesterday, he was, in my view, able to create a clear balance between politics of the ANC in the province and the role of the politicians in the administration of the province. And he was able to outline the challenges that are facing the ANC and what the ANC is trying to move towards in dealing with those issues. Equally so, the same person has been able to provide an outline on how government is actually performing, of which is actually being run by the ANC. And I think he carefully chose areas where his administration is actually doing well, even though he was also able to identify some challenges. And I think, in my view, he was saying to the people of Limpopo, when I came in, there were challenges, and things are now working much better. And I think that is why also, generally, the people of Limpopo have also given him an extra mandate so that he could run the province again. Indeed, there are issues that are being raised that he might leave for national office. But obviously, when you go to national structure, you actually need sufficient support from your base. And I think that is what he did. He created a good base for him in Limpopo, which might make it easy for him to go to the national office.
So speaking of that then, Dr. Ndou, the official figures now show that Limpopo has had exponential growth really in as far as the ANC membership is concerned, from being about the fifth biggest ANC province to now being the second biggest province after KwaZulu-Natal. What are the implications nationally for the upcoming ANC conference coming up in December? Also locating that conversation within, Stan Matabata's stated support for President Cyril Ramaphosa.
The first implication is that Limpopo ANC is going to have sufficient time at this conference to be able to discuss policy issues, so that when they go to the National Policy Conference, Limpopo should be at the forefront of making those discussions at a policy level. Unlike other provinces who would spend a lot of time discussing credentials, Limpopo would be far ahead of the other provinces. Number two, Limpopo has been able to build its support base or build its branches and grow the membership of the ANC. And that actually gives them an advantage when they go to the national conference in terms of numbers. It means that they have a potential to dictate the policy direction of the ANC and the leadership direction of the ANC. And that will therefore mean that Limpopo is in a better position as well to be amongst the leading provinces when it comes to discussions at conference and also an influence on the leadership of the ANC at a national level.
All right, Dr. Levy Ndou, thank you for your time and your insights here on Today on eNCA. Political analyst there, Dr. Levy Ndou.